Hello, friends. It is the Thursday update. I'm going to pretend it's Thursday. Regardless, shh, don't spoil my fun. It's going to be a short one because I haven't done a whole bunch of much, but we're going to listen to the stuff under the platform and just update a couple of little maps and stupid things under the platform. Just gonna run over here and look at this. Has gotten a bit expanded, and giggle at the smiley face. That's pretty much it. I've been really focused on extending, as you can kind of tell, this particular part of the platform. I'm trying, my goal right now is just to complete, kapow, I love it when it does that, is to complete laying out the full platform everywhere that isn't where that sand dune is at, and then I will dig down the sand dune and finish up on the mountain, although I have been also working a wee tiny amount on the mountain. But as you can see, priorities have been this, and part of the reason for that is it helps me check and ensure that I haven't missed any frog lights. And I'm pretty sure I got them all, so I just have that small section where the sand dune is at to frog light up. And there's just a really small section here, and this little bit to finish. Actually, we'll go back over here because I'm pretty sure this little bit is more complete than it looks like. Yep. Really been pushing. Do. And as you can see, it's coming right up against the sand, so that'll be probably a pretty quick cleanup as such things, are considered, I suppose, compared to the mountain, because the mountain's hard rock, which is, oh my gosh, such a geologist thing to say. Typically, because we have two different types of rock hammers that you'll find, and one of them has kind of a wedge on the back end, and then one of them has a pick, and we call them hard rock and soft rock. The one with the pick is the hard rock hammer, and then the wedge is soft rock. And typically soft rock is sedimentary stuff, so sand, sandstone, Shadow screaming. She's just Shadow being a little spazbot. That's what she does. She's a baby. She keeps trying to climb into, I got one of those oversized fleece hoodie things for Christmas, and she keeps trying to climb in with me because it's cold and she wants to warm. So here we go. I have completely filled all of that in with terracotta and or something fused. Some of it is diorite, andesite, granite, that sort of thing, but mostly terracotta. And then I just have a small section over here to do with the stone bricks, and because I have been smelting a lot of cobblestone and working on the mountain, I have, and of course this is the current iteration of the rail line, just bringing everything over here. I forget I need to put food in this thing's face. So this is the current iteration of the rail line, and I have several carts packed full of stone that I'm bringing over from the other side. Lots of stone, and then I've got, cobblestone, some ore and stuff there. And then these are all running to make stone as well. And that helps me recharge, the tools that get worn down. All right, let's do this one. Ooh, that was a good one. Yes, Shadow, I know. You are baby. And why is Sophie not loving you? Well, the reason for that, Shadow, is because you're being an annoying little turd today and driving Sophie crazy. She's gotten her butt kicked 8 times today. She keeps annoying the older cats. Let's fill it in. Let's fill it in, and then we'll run over and glance at the mountain and call it a night. minimal editing tonight. One hopes. Ah, yes. The bug zapper. Something fell down, like, I want to say it was an onion, fell down in a crack and got kind of icky, and so now we have a couple of fruit flies running around, and they're annoying, so we have a little, because we get flies in the summer. It's just how it is when you live out in the sticks. And we have this little wand. It's kind of like a tennis racket, but it's a bug zapping tennis racket, and it has a base, and so you can sit it in the base and turn it on, and then it'll sit there and glow and attract the flies. And so every once in a while it just snap, snap, snap as they, commit seppuku or something. I don't know what to call it. Immolate themselves. Oh, so I wanted to start sharing some odd stories, just because that sounds like fun and or funny, but this one's not. Okay, it's kind of a little, but it's mostly kind of sad. So this took place in Sweden. I was watching random videos, because that's what I do, while I build stuff. And there was this couple, right? And I want to say it was in the winter. She went out with their dog. Older lady, older gentleman. She goes out with their dog to take the dog on a walk, and she never comes back. And so her husband calls the police and says, my wife is missing. Can you help me find her? Well, they find her, and she has been brutally killed, just bludgeoned to death. I think the dog got away, but she was definitely dead. And they really had no clue who would have done this to her, because she was just a sweet old lady. She really didn't bother anybody. And of course, you know what they say, there's a French saying, cherchez la femme, look to the woman. Well, it works both ways. So you say cherchez l'homme, or look to the man. A lot of times it's going to be intimate partner stuff. And so somewhat naturally, the police blamed the husband, and they drug his name through the mud. I mean, he had to leave town. They really kind of ruined his life. And it turns out that he was completely innocent, like he hadn't done anything wrong. And what they found out eventually, I almost kind of want to save the conclusion until we look at the mountain. Okay, mountain's visible, right? So what they realized, though, eventually, as they started looking around the crime scene, was that she had been killed by what they referred to as an elk, but what we call a moose. The minute they said that, I went, oh, yeah, moose are mean critters. So apparently when the males go into their sort of breeding mode, they are particularly aggressive, and that's what happened. One pointer I'll give you, because I actually live in moose country here in the U.S., is to get a tree between you and the moose, because they're so big. Sometimes if you're fast, you can keep that tree in between you and it, and they can't get to you quite as easily. Because otherwise they are big, and they are aggressive, and they stomp, and it happens around here. Not often, but, it's heard of. So here's what's left of this section of mountain. Anyways, that was my weird crime of the week. I just thought that was kind of an interesting story. I feel bad for, obviously, the husband and everything, but, wildlife can be pretty dangerous, and you have to be able to deal with it. I grew up 45 minutes out of town on the side of a mountain that was directly adjacent to a extremely large nature preserve. We had elk, we had moose, we had deer, of course, wild turkeys, who were actually meaner than the deer. There was one day, actually, and this was so funny. The deer were out grazing, and we loved to watch the animals, and we weren't going to hunt. So we would put feed out around our house just so we could watch them from the kitchen. And so the deer are up there eating corn, and then the turkeys came along and chased the deer off. And then the elk came along and chased the turkeys off. And then the moose came along and chased the elk off, because, they get bigger and they get meaner as they go up. And we'd just sit there and watch, and we'd watch the birds and stuff. But our very first, this will be my last story, and then we'll call it for the day. Our very first winter, we'd only been there for like a month. And the day we moved in from downtown suburbia, seriously, we lived in Beaverton, Oregon before this, and it was just like you could walk or ride your bike everywhere. We were in the middle of everything. And then we were 45 minutes out of town on the side of a mountain. And you had to go around the lake to get in, and it was gorgeous, don't get me wrong. But, like, I used to give instructions to come to our house as, leave the paved road, leave the gravel road, pass the sign that says now entering the middle of nowhere, and just drive into the bushes until you see a purple house with a freaking tree in front of it. And that was actually kind of an accurate way of describing how to get to our house. But because we were on like this dirt track up the side of this hill. But so the day after we moved in, a snowstorm hit, like a massive, massive snowstorm. They hadn't seen its like in decades. It wiped out the power. We didn't have electricity for the first week we lived there. So we were like going down this logging road on the property and dragging a sled full of logs back up to the house that we were cutting up and putting into the wood stove so that we didn't freeze to death. Right? It was kind of traumatic for us city kids moving out into the woods, But we did it and we handled it. And the dog absolutely refused to be a sled dog. He would just lay down when we tried. He was like, no, are you idiots? And we're like, yes, we are. But our very first winter there, so it was about a month after we moved in, because that was at the start of October. And at the end of October, we were coming up on Halloween. It was the day before Halloween. And I was upstairs in my room and I was sewing because I love to sew, and I was making my sister her Halloween costume. And my mom comes running upstairs and she goes, come here. And so I go down, and the garage was almost the same size as the house, and it was detached. And there was this hallway that went between it we called the breezeway. And it had a door that went outside, and then a door that went into the garage, and a door that went into the house. I have other stories about the breezeway that are pretty hilarious, but this one was, traumatic. So there was a window in the door leading from the house to the breezeway, and we go up and we look out, and a mother bear had knocked the door to the breezeway to the outside open and had her 2 cubs in our breezeway eating the dog food because we kept it there in garbage bins. And so we got to just sit there and watch this mama bear feeding her babies functionally in our house. And that was our first month living on the side of that mountain. So it was interesting in the ancient curse sense of the word. Oh, it was crazy living out there, and we had a lot of good times, but we were weird kids too. Shocking, I know. Anyways, that's all I got this week, so thanks for hanging with me.